Hello my friends, this is Konstantin, and today I will continue working on my progressive web application built with Solid.js and Firebase services. Let's take a look at my plan for today. I'm going to improve Typesaurus configuration according to new recommendations from its author. I'm going to make the unsubscribe button a little bit darker because I want to discourage users to click it. Ideally, I would like my users to stay connected, stay subscribed to push notifications. And one exciting part is I'm going to integrate Tailwind CSS framework into my project and prepare everything to slowly migrate to Tailwind CSS. So get rid of CSS modules, get rid of plain CSS classes and switch completely to Tailwind classes. It gives us some advantages. I will go deep a little bit later. Let me start from the simple stuff. I'm going to switch to my code editor, find some Firebase configuration and find Typesaurus configuration here. So first thing first, I'm going to actually name my model in singular form. It was recommended by Sasha, who is the author of the Typesaurus library, and I think it makes perfect sense. So I'm going to rename my only model to CCM token. And what else? I will show you one issue which actually bothers me. It's the necessity of typecasting here. If I don't typecast here, my TypeScript plugin, TypeScript linter actually highlights the parameter, the ID, which I pass to Typesaurus functions. And to avoid that, I'm going to actually explicitly mention the type of IDs for this particular collection. It's gonna be string, and I'm going to pass it as the second parameter to the collection function type. So now you see that it's not highlighted here, so I can remove all explicit typecasting from all the functions which use Typesaurus library. I think it's all what I wanted to do for Typesaurus configuration, and now I can switch to improving the unsubscribe button. Let's actually run the application. I'm going to run emulators first and then run project build in watch mode, of course, because I need to be able to see the changes. It complains about something here. Okay, yes, let me install the dependencies again because I removed something for testing before. Now it should be good. Emulators are on and the project is building. You see this button, unsubscribe button. It actually displayed when a user is subscribed. So we actually give an opportunity for user to unsubscribe then they need it. But I'm not sure it's kind of necessary step because we are not going to message them too often. We are going to message them just a couple of times a month, but still someone may want to unsubscribe, and it's good. It's legit action, so we should keep it. But what I want to do, I want to discourage user to click this button accidentally or when we don't want it, and I want to avoid unsubscriptions to prevent them, so if it's possible. So what I need to do is I need to make this button a little bit darker. I mean, at least the border and the label and the icon. Let's do it actually. I can actually create a new class here in the subscribe control module, CSS module. Call it unsubscribe button. Okay. And I'm going to set the color to light blue for now. Let's start from light blue and maybe adjust it a little bit later. And the border of the button is gonna be light blue too, so solid light blue. Let's see what changes here. Nothing changes. That's because I didn't assign a class, the class we just created, to the button. Styles. I already have styles imported. I just need to use the class, the latest class. Unsubscribe button. We don't have automatic IntelliSense here, so we need to remember the class names. Let me see what happens here and if the class actually assign. I don't see that it's assigned. I don't see if it's working. Unsubscribe, because I made a typo here. Now we can reload the page again. It didn't take any effect, but at least I had the class assigned here. And you see that the new classes are overwritten by the existing classes. I want to make them important. I'm going to use important modifier here. It's not ideal, but still a solution. When we switch to Tailwind CSS, we will find a better solution, definitely. But for now, it's okay to have this one. You see that the border became a little bit bluish. We need to continue making the label blue and this SVG blue too. So I'm going to span to make the span blue, and the span is the label, and I'm going to make the SVG also blue. But to make SVG blue, I need to use the fill class, fill property actually. Fill property. Let's see if it works. I'm gonna reload the page. Yeah, you see that the button has become bluish. But it's not ideal for me. I want to make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to Google for shades of blue. Blue HTML and find a better shade. There is a site for that. Let me scroll. Blue gray is okay. Denim is okay. Glossious is okay. But I want it a little bit different. What if I choose steel blue? Let me copy the color and put it here. Tailwind CSS has actually a lot of shades built in, so when they switch to Tailwind we will use them, but for now it's okay to use just random color found on the internet. You see that the button became kind of transparent here. We could also use opacity or something like that, but it's okay to just play with a color. For now I think they are fine. Let me remove this bar. It's annoying actually. I want to be able to remove it when I need it. Maybe I can just provide a pull request with a close button for this particular bar, because yeah, it actually makes my work a little bit harder, but it's okay for now. You see that the button, yeah, looks good. Let me continue with my plan. What I also have here is the exciting part. I wanna integrate Tailwind CSS into my project. What I can do for that? I can Google for that actually. Solid.js, Tailwind, and Tailwind has a documentation for almost every framework on how to install all the necessary dependencies and how to configure Tailwind to be able to use it through, in my case, Solid.js. It can be React or I don't know, Vue.js, whatever framework. So I need to install the dependencies first. Okay. Let me stop building the project and install the dependencies through the console. I can close this. I can close this too. Let's give it a couple of seconds more. Yeah. Now what I need to do next is to initialize Tailwind project. In other words, it will create configuration files for Tailwind and for PostCSS, which Tailwind utilizes actually. You see PostCSS config.js, Tailwind config.js. Let's continue configuring the Tailwind itself. To configure Tailwind, we need to instruct it where to look for classes. In my particular case, it's CRC folder. So I'm going to set the path, but the only thing is that all my files in the src folder, which I need to, which Tailwind needs to look for, actually TypeScript. So I'm going to remove JS files from here. I think it should improve the speed of search a little bit. It's my guess. I don't have it confirmed, but yeah, it's reasonable. The simpler regular expression, the faster the search. So let me continue. To integrate Tailwind CSS further, I need to copy these default styles, default directives to the main index CSS file. Let's put it to the top. I actually can remove modern normalized library, but before I do that, I need to test that everything is working fine. Why I can remove modern normalized? Because Tailwind already includes it. It's already out of the box provided. So, but to make sure that everything is working, I'm going to run the build and see if my application works the same way and looks the same way. Let me reload the page. Actually not. You see that the header just lost its styles. Why? Because Tailwind resets everything even further. So I need to comment out Tailwind styles, reload the page, copy the default settings for H1. Let me copy default properties for this element, and I'm going to put them here for now. When they move completely to Tailwind, we actually improve this by switching to Tailwind classes completely. So for now it's good to have this here, and now I can actually uncomment Tailwind classes. Let me reload the page, and you see that the header has the styles explicitly defined. It means that we won't lose them. Now I can actually remove modern normalize because everything is working as expected. I can actually remove it as a dependency, and pam remove modern normalize. Should save some build how to say size. It should improve the build size because modern normalize is not included twice. So let me also, what I also want to do, I want to check if the Tailwind class is actually working. To check that, I'm going to follow this. Can actually add one more header here on top called hello world. I can rebuild the project and reload the page again. You see the new header added, and you see the classes, and you see the styles for the classes, the properties. So Tailwind CSS is working, which is fine. To confirm that, I can even make it red 600, for instance. Let me reload the page again. You see that it's red, which is good. One thing I'd like to do, I'd like to show you the build, the build size and the build CSS. Let me word wrap. This is the resulting CSS. It has a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, some CSS normalize, my actual styles. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to remove unnecessary styles from the resulting CSS file. I don't want to include any styles which I don't need. For that, there is I think it might be enabled by default in Tailwind, but I don't remember actually. Let me Google it. Tailwind, remove unused CSS. Okay, and here we have optimizing for production. I need to check the version of CSS, the Tailwind CSS. It's correct. I can set up broadly. I don't need broadly. CSS Nana should actually minify CSS even further. Make the production build even smaller. So I'm going to install this CSS Nana plugin through the post CSS config first, and then through installing it as a dependency. npm install. I need to install it as a dependency. CSS Nana. This is first thing. I want to optimize the production build. Actually, I will confirm now if the removing unnecessary Tailwind classes option is enabled by default. How can I do it? I can actually try to see the current production build. I can see that everything is included here. Underline, font bold, text red. What if I remove text red from the list of classes for this particular h1 tag and rebuild the project? Let's see if the production build changes. It actually regenerates the production build, which is expected. Let me take a look at the file itself and see if I have text red here. Let me search text red. No, I don't have text red here, which means that this option is already enabled in Tailwind by default. So Tailwind doesn't include any classes which it cannot find in the CRC folder, which is ideal because the production build will be smaller. Before, in Tailwind 2, probably, and Tailwind 1, Tailwind actually included all the classes in the production build. So it was kind of heavy because you would need to load all the unused classes. Now it's better, much better, and it's very light. The production build is very light. And with CSS Nano, it's even lighter, I think. So one thing here, I'm going to roll back text red class here. One thing here is that when we save the file, the classes are not sorted. And when you have a lot of elements on the page, a lot of classes, you sometimes want to know in which particular place you should look for a particular class. For instance, if you know that all the color classes are at the end of the class list, you just immediately point your attention to the end of the class list and you find your necessary color class. To do that, you need to have some sorting tool or plugin. So now when I save the file, Prettier doesn't sort the Tailwind classes. To add some sorting, Tailwind has a recommended approach, Prettier plugin. Let me also Google it. And they have a blog post about that, and the plugin is called Prettier plugin Tailwind CSS. I'm going to install it as a dev dependency actually. Hope it's going to be quick, and while it's installing, I'm going to copy the Prettier configuration for enabling this plugin. We have Prettier config here, and we can add plugin section with the Prettier plugin Tailwind CSS. I'm going to save the file and rebuild the project. I don't actually need to rebuild it because when I save the file, it will actually trigger Prettier and consequentially trigger the Tailwind CSS plugin, Prettier plugin. So if I save now, it actually sorts the classes, you see. So even if I add some more, for instance, font italic or something like this, not sure if it's correct class, but when I save, it actually sorts the classes, which is good. It considers this class as custom because it's probably not correct name for italic class. When I remove font, it should be considered Tailwind class. Yes, it actually considered as a Tailwind class and sorted according to their internal rules, the rules of the Prettier Tailwind CSS plugin. It's actually possible to change the sort order through configuration, but I'm very okay with what they have. So it doesn't really matter what's the sorting. What matters is that every element has classes sorted and every element has, for instance, color in the same position. So it actually simplifies navigation throughout the file, throughout the classes, etc. So it's a good improvement, a good development sugar, I would say. So let me remove unnecessary stuff from here, save the file, and reload the application to make sure that everything is working as expected. And so I can unsubscribe. I can see that the button changed the color. I can subscribe, which is good. So everything is fine. Let me review what we've done today. I've actually improved Typesaurus configuration according to recommendations from the Typesaurus library author. I made the unsubscribe button a little bit less noticeable for users to not click it or press or tap it accidentally. I also integrated Tailwind CSS into my code base and configured all the necessary development stuff relating to Tailwind CSS. So I will be able to start migrating all my CSS modules, classes, and all my plain CSS classes to Tailwind CSS next time. For today, thank you for your time. See you next time.